Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
This is your James Bond read-along book. Every time you hear this sound, it means that it's time to turn the page in your storybook.
What was that? Is that the sound a dry martini makes when you shake it instead of stir it? I don't really know much about alcohol, if you can't tell.
Now, we're just about ready to begin.
Speak for yourself. I've got a lot going on in my life. Okay, no I don't.
Dr. No. Remember to turn the page every time you hear the sound. At the headquarters of Her Majesty's Secret Service,
It was Taco Tuesday.
a very worried Secret Service leader, codename M, paces his office and talks with his leader, the Prime Minister of England.
If it's Liz Truss, all hope is lost.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Of course, sir. Of course I know what toppling is. It's throwing the gyroscopic controls of a guided missile off balance with radio beams. Toppling must have caused that $5 million missile aimed at a spot in the South Atlantic to end up in the middle of the Brazilian jungle instead. Excuse me, sir?
I'm expositioning way too much, you say?
Cape Canaveral is now sending a rocket into orbit around the moon.
I'll get in touch with the moon and put my best man on it.
Well, we'll do our best, sir. We do know that the interference is coming from somewhere among the Caribbean island groups near the coast of Florida. No, it's just that our man in Kingston, Jamaica, has mysteriously disappeared.
Which is really the only good way to disappear.
Of course, we immediately sent a new man down to work with representatives of the American CIA, Agent 007. Yes, he should be arriving in Kingston any minute now. His name, sir? Well, he is our best man.
I mean, he was my best man. Got married last week. Stag do was a rager.
You know the one. A man by the name of...
Bond. James Bond.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bond. I've been assigned to pick you up and take you into Kingston.
And yes, there's every chance that this performance is problematic. As it happens, there are a couple of disquieting casting decisions in the movie, but nobody ever wants to talk about them.
Without another word, Bond gets into the car. But something isn't right, and Bond knows it.
He almost certainly picked up 3 venereal diseases on his last assignment, and the itching is becoming unbearable.
Why would the CIA make such a big show of greeting me at the airport? Not the best way to handle a top-secret affair.
What the... With screeching tires, the car pulls out of the airport parking lot and hits the open road at breakneck speed.
He says that, but I bet neither of them actually breaks the neck. Did you know that the expression actually relates to bicycles in the 19th century? Not funny, but true.
Just as I thought. This is no CIA man at the wheel.
Just as the mysterious driver presses a button, Bond leaps to the front seat before a plexiglass shield can slide into place and separate him from his abductor.
God, I wish this had happened in the movie. Or the book.
All right, talk fast. Who are you working for? And keep both hands on the wheel.
And maybe one foot on the brake.
But the driver has other ideas. He lunges at Bond, and the car is out of control.
Like the second Trump administration in the first 5 minutes.
James Bond has only one choice: to bail out. In an instant, Bond tumbles free of the speeding car and into a grassy field.
The adapter has really gone rogue. At least the Dune storybook followed the plot.
But the car and its driver aren't so lucky.
They wound up in Merseyside.
They crash through a wall at the turn in the road and fall into the sea. As soon as it hits the water, the car explodes.
But the water instantly extinguishes any flames, so the problem sort of solves itself, unless you happen to be the driver. You're not, are you? I just want to be sure. There's so much insensitivity in comedy these days.
Quite a nice little reception someone had planned for me. They did everything but sell tickets to my funeral.
Mine's already sold out. I suppose my big mistake was specifying a date. Remember, dress code is formal.
Later, on the Kingston Wharf,
Both the CIA and the Secret Service have checked every island in the area with no luck. In fact, there's only one island with any kind of radar device mounted on it. Crab Key.
I feel there was more cut from this than there was from the 2001 storybook, and that started at the dawn of humanity.
But that radar is standard equipment, perfectly legal size. But one thing bothers me. Every time I mention Crab Key to an islander, I get treated like I'm a ghost. Something about a dragon living on the island.
And frolicking in the autumn mist.
Just a native superstition? I wonder.
And I'm going to keep on wondering until it's time to turn the page.
Off the waters of Crab Key that night, a small boat with only one sail drifts beyond the island's outer reefs and heads slowly for the shore.
Is the only one sail thing significant? I know as much about boats as I do about alcohol.
Now for the first test. If my hunch is right, this stone sample should set this Geiger counter clicking like a gambling wheel.
Hi kids, the narrator here, reminding you not to gamble. We'll get on to the subjects of alcoholism and unprotected sex as they occur.
As soon as Bond holds the rock close to the Geiger counter, the mechanism responds at once.
At once and as soon as both pretty much mean the same thing.
This rock is completely contaminated with radiation. There's a lot of atomic power harnessed somewhere around here. There's more to this little island than meets the eye.
Just then,
something met Bond's eye.
Bond hears in the distance the barking of a pack of dogs.
I know the islanders are famous for their hospitality, but this is ridiculous.
Nothing about that sentence makes sense. Are you sure the radioactivity hasn't already started affecting your brain, Bond? And follow-up question, brain and brain, what is brain?
First my reception at the airport, and now someone's sending me a welcoming party of savage bloodhounds.
Now, you're only assuming they're savage. That is profiling, which is wrong.
Thinking fast, Bond wades into an inland stream.
Wondering all the time what became of Ursula Andress.
Got to get those dogs off my scent. If I wade downwind and stay in the water...
But before Bond can wade more than 10 feet...
Feels to me like they've said wade way too many times in just a few sentences.
A sheet of pure flame turns the water around his ankles into a cloud of hissing steam.
Great Scott! I've got to get out of here.
I forget how very fragile Bond's ankles are.
Bond turns to see a large Land Rover equipped for rocky terrain and mounted with 2 deadly flamethrowers. Without thinking twice, James Bond leaps for cover behind some bushes on the banks of the stream.
Bushes are famously non-flammable, aren't they?
Well, these are the first dragons I've ever heard of that were powered by diesel engines. I'd better stay behind rocks from now on.
Instead of trying to get mine off, which seems very unlikely in a children's record.
Uh-oh. Those dogs are starting to wade across the stream.
Just as Bond makes a break for a nearby rock, the flamethrowers turn the bushes into a pile of ashes.
I felt the heat of that last one.
Who the hell am I talking to, by the way?
These guys are really beginning to burn me up. But I'd better stay cool. And I mean cool.
Nobody was questioning what you meant, dude.
All right. Throw your gun down and come out with your hands high in the air.
Discretion is the better part of valor.
And Season 3 is the better part of Torchwood.
I'd better give up. I'll never get away from this fire spitter. Besides, I have a feeling they're going to take me right to their leader.
Move it!
We're taking you right to our leader!
Now, don't get hot under the collar. Here I am. And here's a little present for you. Smith & Wesson.
That's for not carrying a Walther PPK. Unless a Walther PPK is the same thing as a Smith & Wesson. I know as much about firearms as I do about boats and alcohol.
The driver knocks 007 unconscious with the butt of his own gun.
But... Okay, that just about does it for part 1 of Dr. No. Please like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, and support me on Patreon if you want access to over 100 more riffs.